Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Foreground Forum once again. My name is Sonia Choksi. I am the co founder and CEO of Match My Talent, the organization which hosts this web conferences for you. Welcome once again. And today, of course, we have a very dynamic set of panel, experienced, dynamic, experimental, multitasking, multi-skilled people coming in. And the topic is live streaming. But here is what I want to invite you to look at this evening from. So, for all the event management colleges who have joined us, welcome. It is very special that you have joined with the young students or the budding event managers who are going to take on this industry in the future ahead. And also all the small, bigger brands, the ticketing partners that are here in the audience and would also be listening to this streaming later at some point of time ahead in time. The invitation that I want to invite you to look at this conversation from is virtual streaming, of course. The time changing, a lot has happened in a little bit of a time, and nothing is proven, nothing is sacrosanct, and nothing can be said as a go-to formula to the times coming ahead, because we are clearly not sure of what the next 1 year is also going to look like. But yes, been there, done that, having done physical events for 15, 20 years, and then virtual events for one and a half year, there is enough of a experimentation and an understanding that has been formed. And our speakers are going to talk from both spaces, from physical and virtual, and from the hybrid. But the invitation really is for you to lend your ear to know them, to know them as people, as individuals, because it is their individuality which comes into their work, into their brand, into whatever they create. And so the times would change, the formats would change, what they do, how they do, what they bring out would definitely keep changing. But what's going to be consistent is the person, that's them. So our conversation is going to be absolutely candid. You're most welcome to send out your messages to us. I'll be happy to read out your messages to them. Just we'll be flashing down a number here in a bit. You could WhatsApp your messages here or write it down on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you're looking from, and we'll gather it. And don't worry, if any of your questions gets missed, the panelists would take out some time at a later date and get back. We will also have a Twitter chat probably a week from now, wherein some of the most unique questions will be picked up, and the panelists will answer them as well. So, with that, let me welcome two people that have really been waiting to bring onto the Foreground Forum: Raghav Roy Kapur, founder, Livewire Events and Promos, and Ankit Choudhary, founder and CEO of Azur Events. Welcome, both of you. Hey, Raghav.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Sonia. Hi, Ankit.
Hi, Ankit.
Hi guys. Thank you for having us.
I love the fact that you said, experimental. You're very true. We are always experimenting, I think, in this business. It's ever evolving and always experimental. So,
Isn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah,
Always,
absolutely.
always. There's no formula.
Yeah, yeah.
You get it
And,
right. So, absolutely.
and I think your profession requires to experiment multiple times in the day, because you're talking to many clients and doing many things in the same day. So not even like the morning, afternoon, evening might be consistent at most times, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is an experiment too, and I hope it goes well because I'm not as good an orator as you are, but absolutely. Over to you.
No. So this is what you're here for, is what we all have looked at Livewire for years. And I know it's not fair to like compress all your knowledge and your observation in a couple of minutes, but we're going to try and get into your heart and mind and steal some of those things that you really worked hard upon.
Thanks.
And hey, Ankit. So
Hi.
one thing that I missed about Ankit, but it's a conversation that's ongoing, is that Ankit has also really experimented, not just with events, but his own career and his own choices. Trained pilot, moved on to hospitality, did awesome there and gives a lot of credit to who he is today, to the hospitality time that he spent, and then chose events, as a choice because of various things that events brings in, which only he can tell. So what is it, Ankit? What brings you to events eventually?
I think this happened when I started doing events in the hotel itself, and I found out that it's a lot more fun, a lot more being creative when it comes to events. And as you said, experimenting and innovation is a part of it. It's a daily part of it. And one thing that we always hear is, every client saying, "What's new? What's different? How do we make it different?" So
मुझे कुछ नया करके दो.
exactly. So that challenge, that creativity challenge, is something that got me more inclined towards events, and that's how I started back in 2015. And I was like, let me try and put my hands into events, and I would give a lot of credit to my hospitality background, which has taught me a lot, and uh, not just being creative, being having that extra edge, but also a lot into how to handle the clients, how to do that guest relations part, and public speaking part. That has helped me a lot.
Which is so critical.
Hospitality gives a good credit to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's Ankit, with like about 6 years into events, out of which 2 years have been in the lockdown. So,
I'm
so yeah,
extremely envious of him, man. Being a pilot and all is fantastic.
cool,
You
na?
know,
Yeah.
as I was saying earlier, the only plane I've flown is a paper plane in current times. I mean, that's all we can afford these days, event managers, to fly paper planes.
Yeah.
Rather not just flown, but just sat in a paper plane and in a
Yes,
dream plane
I
for
would
a
be
for
happy
a.
with even sitting in a plane for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
No,
I
in
know
fact,
Raghav and Ankit
I
and I were
think
counting the flights we all took in 2019 to like some 70, 80, 90, 100 flights that we all were like part of. And and look, good
yes,
time to not be a pilot, Ankit.
I'm sure Raghav can give an
bad time to be an
experience.
event manager either. But yes, sorry, Ankit, you were saying.
I'm saying you can give an experience on how to, virtually fly airplanes through
Yeah,
Livewire.
simulator experience, absolutely.
Yes.
Simulator experience. There, see now there's the two of them sitting, and there comes the ideas. Now there is another idea coming up. So yeah, so that's Ankit with 6 years into the space, 2 years into the lockdown, 4 years of dedicated work, and what he definitely assures is the client relationship, and that's what he builds on. It's not business after business, it's relationships. While Raghav, 15 18 years into organized events and being a performing artist before that, musician, drummer, theater artist himself. So that's also bringing in a sense and the beauty and the challenges of both sides of that whole experience that's curated. Uh, Also really diversified in the last 2 years, 1.5 years, even though, like, unfortunately, a lot of event companies had to shut down also. That's also a reality that everybody couldn't make it, right? So hats off to you, Raghav, for pulling off, and not just pulling off, but growing like how in that. So what makes me really really curious is that, um, with so much of physical events background and
Yeah.
a little bit of a virtual, is there any similarity between these two spaces, or they are two different elephants?
Well, absolutely. Let me first begin by breaking the myth that streaming is very new. It's very new to a lot of people, but streaming has been happening for the last 20, 30 years. In fact, for some industry veterans, I believe they started streaming in the late 80s or the early 90s, possibly. So streaming was always an extension to an event, where you had an audience abroad, or you were streaming for multi locations, or you couldn't have all the audience in the venue. So we have been streaming events that we do for a live audience primarily, with the focus on the live audience, but streaming has been an extension of that. So that's it's not something new. Yes,
Wow.
how it has evolved is definitely new. It's become much smoother. Technically, there's a lot more that we have to offer. The experience and the user experience is much, much better. Coming back to your question, similarity between physical and virtual events. Well, I personally believe, and this is what I tell clients as well, it's the same thing. It's just that your playground has changed. You're playing the same sport. It's just a different canvas. It's like asking an artist that you like to paint on paper or on canvas or watercolor or pencil. So it's as simple as that. So there is similarity. The similarity is primarily that you are still catering to an audience. It is a live audience. You still have to meet an objective. You still have to engage. And you still have to make the event a success. So absolutely, it is very, very similar. I would just say that the treatment is very different. How you treat an event in a physical form versus how you treat an event in a digital or may I call it a virtual form. The treatment would differ, but there is a lot of similarity between this.
So if there is so much of a similarity, like you so beautifully compare it with other professions also, I mean, merely taking it as a change of canvas and that be it. Why did the industry sort of collapse or take a setback?
It's not collapse. Let me be very honest with you. People who have not been able to make the pivot. You have to pivot at the right time to taking this up, to doing this. If you didn't do it at the right time, yes, you're probably catching up right now, or you're probably struggling a little. We struggled as well. The industry is taking a pause. Let me put it that way. The industry is taking a break. A much deserved break for all of us. But everything's going to be back, and I'd like to show all our friends out there as well. Things are going to be back and going to be great. Let me be very honest with you. I think a zero has started missing from our invoices. When it comes to virtual events.
The figures.
Yes, the scale. Has really come down. The billables have really typically come down. We're doing larger events, especially if I talk about Livewire, anything 500,000-700,000 people upwards. So the scale has reduced from watching a 60-foot stage, and we're now currently looking at a 15-inch monitor, and whatever has to happen typically on that monitor, on that virtual stage. So I'm typically billing for content. I'm typically billing for my streaming. There's not too much more I can really bill unless there's content or there are artists or their experiences. Even to some extent, the experiences are limited when it comes to virtual. In a physical form, we had a multi-sensory experience. Today, that is kind of funneled down only to an audiovisual sort of experience. So it is unfortunate. I would not call it a collapse, definitely. Events thrive. Events is a form of live communication. That's the way I like to say it. Events thrive on getting people together, on bringing people together. Okay, events thrive on that vibe. Events thrive at a venue with the F&B, and all of it creates an experience with you. So, as I said, the scale has come down to probably 1/10 of what we did, which is why a lot of people are finding it difficult to survive. Overheads are tough. We too are working on a very lean team currently to meet our objectives, our business objectives. So it has been a tough time for the industry, and yes, I wouldn't call it a collapse. I would call it a break.
Sounds like a very, very amazing way to look at it. And yes, it's been a pause, but coming from where you're coming, if you don't see it as a collapse, it isn't. It isn't. And I guess there are always changeover times in the world. So probably this is a changeover time where whoever needs to fix whatever has to do that, because like a new.
If you look at it from that perspective, if you go back to maybe I think 2008 when there was a lull in the economy as well, a lot of people thought that events are dead, so on and so forth. A lot of agencies had a tough time, but no, a lot of people pivoted. We personally saw the rise of activations and BTL at that point. We were not really a mainstream major BTL or activation player. We always preferred live. But we had to pivot because we had clients who wanted to push their sales. We had clients who wanted to spend on sales-related marketing and not really brand marketing. So a lot of that changed. So I think this is very cyclical. I mean, of course,
I agree.
This is a catastrophe that's happened. It's very big, but it is cyclical in its trend. So you have to just go
embrace it. Just embrace it. Yeah. So on that note, you talked about a lean team. Ankit, you mentioned that you don't have a single person on your payroll, and you largely work with the best of the people depending on the requirement of the event. Tell us more about it. How do you survive without any steady people that you just know they are yours all the time? Ankit, can you hear me?
There's a lot of freelance. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yes.
Am I? Okay, okay, yes. Okay, so
Nope.
because we are with we majorly operate as a B2B facilitators also with the event industries and lot of event planners, and we have a lot of freelancers with us also in major locations. So not just
Mm-hmm.
help us and because of course that's years of relation that we have. So not just that they help us,
Yeah.
but we also kind of help them in getting associated with other event companies, event planners,
Nice.
and get more revenue through. That's a kind of give and take relation that we have, and not maybe especially at this time it's working very well because not every
Mm.
company has a lot of work. So maybe I have few
Yeah.
work, some my friends in the industry have few work. So I recommend them to other event planners and other event companies, and they also try and give them some work or
Nice.
same works with the other vendors as well. So a lot of things operate that way. And when it comes to production and something like doing a virtual event, like I would definitely look at Raghav and like listen, Raghav, would you want to can I outsource my whole virtual part to you? And he will be like, sure, I'll pick
Yeah.
up the whole tech part of it and I'll get it executed for you. So
True.
that kind of works very well for us.
Collaboration is always beautiful. All sorts of collaborations are
Absolutely,
always beautiful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we always say
And
that,
I think the current situation has really opened up the doors to collaboration much more
Yeah.
than earlier.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, the very fact that we are lean and have to remain lean for the next year and a half at least till the economy
Mm.
bounces back for us.
Yeah.
It is a lot of collaboration. I mean, just
Yeah.
piling up overheads at this point is a very tough bet we need to make.
And this also gives collaboration also gives us access to a whole lot of minds and hearts that were there, but we were probably just not looking out for them for each other. But now it gives us that push that okay, they're not on a payroll, they're not with us all the time, but we need them, they need us, and so we make that effort to go look out for them, and bingo, there's something completely a new team emerges and new experiences happen. Yeah.
absolutely.
So in the content creation, when Raghav, you mentioned that you focus, on that small screen, what you can create is content, right? So what are your key lookouts when you curate content and experiences?
In the current scenario,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
in the current scenario, definitely look. People are spending so much time in front of the screen nowadays. Okay,
mm,
they're spending a lot of time, so that has become a big challenge for us. It's become a big challenge for our clients. If I'm doing a conference, they're worried. Hey, how long should the duration be? Do you think people will log on? Do you think they're going to spend time? No, 60 minutes is too much. 90 is too much. What is too much? What is too little? So, I think definitely you have to be more crisp. If earlier you presented something to people which went on for 45 minutes, there has to be squeezed into a 25-minute crisp window.
mm,
Whatever you're putting out there has to be crisp. It has to have a higher impact because I have the option to switch off my video. I
mm,
have the option to move away from my screen. So
yeah,
when I say that, hey, there are 10,000 people logged on here, how many of them are actually invested in the content going out there? It's not about a login. We don't calculate on logins. We calculate on the screen time that they have actually spent on your platform, on your event. And that's the sort of
mm,
analytics that we deliver to our clients as well. Much to their dismay at times, but yes, absolutely. So
yeah,
I think the sort of content that you're putting out there, the format, the relevance is extremely important in terms of what exactly you're trying to do. And fourth is how you kind of meet the objectives. So where an event used to be a 3 hour window, you'd come, there was a lot of other things that you had. There were a lot of other fringe activities. You had F&B, you had, maybe a
yeah,
photo booth, you had something else. If you didn't like what was going on, you'd get up, you'd go get yourself a drink, you'd walk out, you'd eat a starter, you'd come back. You don't have that option right now. It's you
mm,
on the screen. You know what? You
yeah,
sit from 200 feet away in an outdoor venue, you're looking at from a 2 feet distance.
yeah,
So you have to be very careful of what you put out there. One size does not fit all, that's for sure. What worked does not work or may not work. So you have to be very careful while curating it from a very case to case sort of a basis.
So when you say case to case, is there any example that comes to your mind that sort of is a good enough example to say for curating experience or content?
So we have been working a lot, not necessarily with artists, but also we have been curating a lot of video content for people. So trying to make it more exciting. So very recently we did an awards night for a client and they said, hey, what can we do? How do we kind of engage with them? Earlier we used to have an event, but they'd come and the CEO would give an award. We said, okay, fair enough. What we did now is we kind of we sent all the awards out to their residences without telling the employee. We communicated with the family members, especially if they had parents or spouses, and ensured the award was with them, ensured they came live onto the show and kind of presented their child or their spouse with the award. And it worked so wonderfully for the client because it came from such a place of love and warmth. Getting appreciation from your own family members for doing what you go out there and do every day. And especially the last year and a half has not been very great for everyone. Work from home has not worked for everyone. Everyone has different situations and circumstances at home. I think what's key is to understand the pulse of the audience when you are curating any content. So we do that. We do a lot of video content. We do a lot of content based on people because you would love to see yourself on the screen. You would love to see yourself on the screen. So we do a lot of focus around there.
Nice.
Artists, yes, we do curate artists as well, but there are certain types of artists which work, some which don't. So I'll probably come to that later.
Yeah. What about you, Ankit? What are your key pointers to curating experiences?
When it comes to curating experiences, I mean, for us, it's about, making it, one, of course, answering to people's question of what's different, what's innovative. That is the most important part that client looks at. And, as Raghav mentioned, I absolutely agree to that, something that comes uh, directly or indirectly from your family member or any of your loved ones, that puts a great impact always, always. I mean, for example, we're doing a yacht event, and a father taking his daughter to the yacht and making her ride the yacht, giving that experience to her. That's like a lifetime experience for her, like, capturing those memories. So that kind of experience is what is the most impactful. Of course, then there are mass experiences, but these personal experiences do impact the most.
Most. Yeah. Raghav, what have been your strengths, your personal, not Livewire, that helped you transition from into 2020, let's say for an example, but in every bigger transition time of your life?
Wow, that's a good question. Many a time, lack of choice. To be very honest, if you don't ride the wave, you kind of miss out, sort of a thing. So, I think I've been fairly agile in terms of wanting to kind of be quick on the uptake. We have been adaptable. We've tried myself as well. If you talk about me, to be adaptable to current situations, you have to always keep your eye on the ball. Let me just put it that way.
True.
You can't wait. You can't miss out. And as I said, honestly, either you're there or you miss the bus. So
Miss the bus.
it's honestly about being relevant at the given time. Like you mentioned, why agencies collapsing, because a lot of them are not relevant to the current times, or they have not upskilled, or they have not changed their product suites to kind of offer clients the right kind of consultancy or offerings. So you have to remain relevant, and I think that's the key thing, that the drive for remaining relevant is what has kind of always kept me open to change and to adapting to a different platform.
Beautiful. So agility and adaptability. That's what about you, Ankit?
I would add one more thing to that. Apart from being relevant, it is also very important on how you make your clients feel relevant, how you give that amazing attention to the client. That's what clients nowadays have been, kind of hungry for. On, apart from the customization and apart from everything, clients expect you to be available at all times. So that's like how you pamper them. So that is
Mm.
important part apart from what Raghav said. So yeah.
And that's your strength. You're able to bring that to the table.
Yes. So how do I put it? I could say that when a client is talking to me, they
Mm.
would expect me to that as if I have started my event company for them. So that
So, yes.
so you just have to make them feel that relevance, give them that pampering that really helps converging a client into a confirmed query.
Wow. What do you think of that, Raghav?
Think patience is a virtue, and you said you've been in for 6 years. We'll talk after another 4 years, but no, that's fantastic that you can. It's fantastic that you do that, and I think in especially in your space, and I think what these values are what you typically bring from hospitality, and I think you definitely one sees the difference in somebody who's running an agency with a hospitality background. I have very a lot of friends who have similar backgrounds, and one definitely can see the difference, especially when it comes to weddings and socials. I think you guys know how to handle them with GitLab. So kudos to that.
Yeah, like corporate events for us is more like do the setup, go off to sleep, something like that. But weddings is something that we are always on the toes, because even after the setups and everything is done, that personal attention, what we can provide, and especially bring that extra hospitality quotient to it.
Right.
That's what gets us, makes our client happy and gives us more referral business.
Excellent.
Absolutely. In a candid conversation with Ankit, I remember he mentioning keeping small things and not saying for the heck of it, which I really was touched with that, and hence mentioning like he would take care that if it's a wedding, that of course everybody should be fed, but he would take care that the bride's parents who would have normally been fasting in an Indian culture, are taken care of as good as at 4 a.m. versus everybody who ate at 10 and 11, which often gets missed out. Like it could just be like a formal process taken care of, but he remembers to make sure that the people who are fasting, are taken care of specially, which is not something that even though they're signing the check, but they will not ask for themselves, saying that, please make sure that I have nimbu pani around the corner, or food. But that's upon feeling it yourself. So yes, that's
Fantastic.
one of the very few. So, so like we began the conversation, Raghav and Ankit, that events is extremely dynamic space. 100%. There's just no one or two or five ways also that we can say that things are done. So in that chaos, in that mess, in that commotion, nice and bad, what are your non-negotiables, Raghav, that you wouldn't give up for?
Well, I definitely think, Sonia, there's a method to the madness,
Hmm.
and that's what organized versus unorganized events are all about. So we definitely have a method to the madness. One is
Hmm.
process. I think that's definitely a non-negotiable for us. Whatever we have done in terms of all our functions, there's a certain process that we follow.
Hmm.
Talking about the delivery of the event, I think the quality with which we produce an event or any project, the quality of production of what you put out there. If I talk about virtual currently, we're very finicky about the user experience and the user design
Hmm.
that you're putting out there. Because again, as I said, if it's not looking good to them on the screen, it's gonna put you off. There's nothing else surrounding you. It is only
Yeah.
this 15-inch monitor for the next 2 hours. Uh, Content curation, the storyboarding of the entire event, about how you're weaving the entire thing together, especially in current times, it's very important to kind of stitch an entire story and present it in that 90 minutes to a viewer who has, as I said, the option of switching it off. So I think these are important elements. How crisply you run your entire show. These are
Hmm.
important elements, and to me, non-negotiables absolutely. And I think that is why the clients who come to us, they come back to us because they know that these are the set of values that we have, and these are the set of values that we always put out there to kind of produce something.
Awesome. So user experience, content curation foremost. Got it. Got it. What about you, Ankit? What are your non-negotiables?
I think for me, because we have more of a facilitators, and also because I add the hospitality element to that. So, one thing that we always learn in hospitality is we can't be unethical. we can bend some things, but we can't be unethical. So that is one thing that
Beautiful.
I always bring from hospitality
Mm.
to being a facilitator. I always believe that I would never undervalue any artists or any vendors for that matter, especially during this COVID times. Weddings and all these things that people like COVID hair, make it lesser. Everybody's doing it half the price or lesser than that. But undervaluing any artist or even trying to push them to
Anybody.
undervalue them is kind of demotivating for them.
Yeah.
So we actually, in turn, try to convince the client that, listen, I mean, we will make sure that you get that complete
Value.
expectations are complete, and you get that complete value towards. And you can probably, hold on to certain payment, which you can pay after the complete satisfaction has been done. But don't undervalue a particular artist or a vendor for what they're delivering to you. So these are two important things that we would never give up.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Very true.
Awesome.
I think we all together have to stand up for our industry and our industry ecosystem.
Yeah.
Most importantly, I think we're nothing without them, and we're nothing without the entire ecosystem that supports us through this. So absolutely, I think that's fantastic.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And
That's true.
absolutely.
Like, we are considered as an unorganized sector even till now. But, I think pandemic has helped kind of increasing the collaborations, and that's the way forward.
And I mean, very beautifully said, Raghav, and you said it as much, Ankit, that we have to stand up. It's like as event managers, you are the person who's talking to the client. So and the kind of attention that you hold for them, they will agree to whatever you say. A little here and a little there, ifs and buts, a little heartbeat faster. That's it, right? But once you guys start taking a stand for whatever it is, then it will start to become the norm. So
Well, you are the captain of your ship, so you need to kind of keep the crew together. I mean, in
yeah.
Ankit's case, he's the captain of the plane, so absolutely he's got to keep it all together. But yeah, so
Raghav isn't getting off the plane for sure.
yeah.
Raghav has a seatbelt
But
tightened.
I would have been a pilot if I had an opportunity. I would leave this and go become a pilot. Yeah.
Now,
No, I
now
think
you can.
I
No, I
think
think I
Raghav,
will.
I'm enjoying being in the event industry. I'm enjoying, facing those challenges and being more creative, rather than just flying a plane over in autopilot mode, as
Well,
what happens today.
absolutely. Yes. I think personally there's no business like show business, and I
Yes,
think I wouldn't have had it any other way.
I
There you
love
are.
being in
So
the
all
event
the
industry.
all the budding event managers, look at them. Look at them. I mean, 10, 15, 18, 20 years into it, 4, 5, 6, 10 years into it, and look at that, not giving it away for anything, be it like a fancy profile, like being into aviation or hospitality or performing arts or anything, not giving up events. So I guess everybody who's coming in, your road has been set by these stalwarts there. And now you got to take it to another level. Awesome. So back on the content, Raghav, there is a lot of content getting created today by you, me, everybody,
Hmm.
right? And of course there is the whole influencer market, which is independently working and is also largely framed around the events. But there are 2 points that always confuse me. When we talk about trends, then you would also be getting clients who would want to ride on the trends and take the best out of them, right? So what is it like to copy a trend? And of course, I'm sure you will say that no, do it intelligently, don't copy it like a copy. Fair enough. But still, like to copy a trend is good enough for a smaller window access. Or when you talk about content creation and with the passion that you talk about it,
Hmm.
you would go on to creating something entirely new and not follow the tide and yet create a tide of your own. Which is your style?
First thing, content is nowadays a very abused word. If you
Mm.
honestly say it's
Yeah,
everywhere, and I
everything
don't
is
know why,
content.
I don't know why it's a buzzword suddenly,
Mm.
because people are always creating content. Now, what were we creating?
Yeah,
What did you go and put out on an event? What did you
yeah,
go and put out on a television show? What did you go put up on a night out? Or what is a circus? Circus also offers you content.
content,
I mean,
100%. Yeah,
with the passage of time, content has evolved. The way of presenting content has evolved. The way of consuming content has evolved. But
yeah,
I don't know why is this
yeah. There's like this
about
whole.
content, per se. And there were all sorts of people creating content. I mean, a guy singing with those two a kid singing with two stones in a train is creating content, if
It's
you
good.
ask me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why not? Talking about trendsetters, so I'm not very we're not very much into the digital space, and that's a whole different arena, the content creation. But let me tell you two things. So look, everybody wants to be a trendsetter. All the creators want to be a trendsetter, and there are probably lakhs and millions out there who are posting something or putting up something every day, thinking it's going to get noticed, and relentlessly putting it out there, thinking, hey, this is going to be my big claim to fame, or this is going to be the next Gangnam Style, or this is going to be the next whatever, So there are two things to answer the second part of your question. I think there's nothing wrong with feeding off trends to kind of satiate an audience. There's nothing wrong with putting out your brand with those trends, or integrating integrating your narrative into those trends. I think that's what today branded content is about as
It's
well.
all about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's nothing wrong in that, in piggybacking on a trend.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone wants to be a trendsetter. So if you can set another trend with something that you are doing, and you think it's going to fly, you can do that as well. So I think there's nothing wrong with piggybacking on a particular trend that's happening. And B is, if you're trying to set a trend out there, all the best. Keep at it and see. But it's not a quick thing, because again, trends have shelf lives. Like Clubhouse was kind of trending,
Yeah.
and crashed even before I could get on it. So that's what I mean by a trend.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong in piggybacking if your narrative is stitched along well with that particular trend.
But as event managers who are representing so many brands, young and traditional, contemporary and global,
Yeah.
do you look at trendsetters in the digital space and try to model and curate content around them? Do you do that, Raghav?
So as I said, again, when you're talking about trends or you're talking about trendsetters, they could be at multiple levels. So one is, if you're talking about just communication or design, there's a trend in design. There's a trend in communication. If you're talking about live content, there's a trend in that. If you're talking about an F&B experience, I'm going to go now a little physical. I'm going to go wider, because if
Yeah.
so why only talk about digital, or only talk about what I can put on the screen? Let's talk about
Yeah.
what we do off screen, because that's what our expertise are eventually about. And
Yeah.
so absolutely, I'd follow a food trend. Obviously, I'd follow a certain trend. The way I'd like to do a bar, or the bar experience, or talk about a trend in terms of an entertainment experience that I'm doing. Maybe I make a mailer which is trending with whatever is happening in the market. So there are multiple kind of opportunities one gets to integrate a trend. It doesn't just have to be with what's
Digital.
happening on digital. Yeah. And I want people to break out of that, because I don't know. As I said, I'm very weak at following digital trends. But if there is something, then you will see all brands releasing those sort of ads. Recently,
Yeah.
there's the trend about this kid who's singing on this Hindi song, and everyone is kind of doing that. So look, things like that you can piggyback literally for 5 to 7 days. They're not
Yeah.
really going to stay. So it totally depends how fast your churn is and what sort of an impact you want to make. So I think you need to calculate your impact and your objective versus the trend you're piggybacking on.
Well said. Well said. It is short-lived, short-timed. If that helps you achieve what you're out there to, go for it. But there's a calculation one needs to make of how much
Absolutely.
are you investing into it, and do you ideally think it's going to reap in? Is that worth it to put in?
Personally, I'm more of a classic guy, and I like to stick to
Traditional,
the
the good
traditional
old.
things. And of course, but clients definitely want something that their audiences can feed off as well,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And that's where you kind of integrate a trend.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anything different for you, Ankit? Anything
I,
emerged?
I absolutely want to contribute this. So one is, trend setting outside digital is something which is more impactful, more long run, and gives you business. Let's be very practical over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say in our case, it's been about 4 years now that yachts has come into trend in India. They were not much into trend in India. They were more in Seychelles or Dubai or Maldives,
Yeah.
but not much in India. But last 4 years, like they have come a lot into trend, and doing those, adding those experiences, doing those events on water is something that is very, it's been trending a lot in last 4 years, and it's getting us a lot of business as well. So if a trend can get you business and if it can be off the digital screen, definitely go for it.
Go for
So
that. It's definitely larger, bigger, more real, more closer to humans.
And Sonia, don't you think that's what Match My Talent stands for as well? To move away
Absolutely.
from the typically top 10 trending artists and
Absolutely.
explore a raw talent, explore talent that is yet to be found, and maybe they'll become the next trend.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks for saying that. But absolutely, we've been mapping the country for the last many years to
right,
find those people,
Right.
because all of you are busy,
Right.
from one curation to another curation, and for all reasons known to all of us, however much you want to texture, to give a deeper texture, to make it more beautiful, more newer, but it's dynamically not possible. You have so much on your end, so of course you end up working with the same people, similar people,
And I think
safety.
that's the conversation we had when you were taking me through the demo,
Yeah.
and I said, hey, I can't see the regular names, and you said, hey, that's exactly what the objective is.
Yeah.
You
right.
know, to break away from those top 10 people that you have typically been engaging with. So
Because you have access to them. The
Yeah.
top 10 people are not, there's no challenge in accessing them. They're there, so there's no point in creating a match my talent for those same people again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to spend some time and invest some energy into the next top 10 and the next 100 so that are coming in, and bring them in. Awesome. So
Sonia,
that's it.
I
Yeah.
want I want one thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Please.
give a shout out to this one thing, that this is something that should start trending. Since exactly what Match My Talent is doing, and this should go out with everybody else, that community building should happen. Community building within our industry should happen a lot, and that should come into trend. And if that comes in trend along with collaboration, the industry is sky is the limit.
Absolutely, 100%. And collaboration across the verticals, across the hierarchies. I mean, you and artist and other artists, vendors, everything. Great. So just now, I mean, I had another thought of a question, but because we're talking about this particular thing, can I just move on to show you what we have at Match Medallion, and then we can come back to
oh,
discussing
look
your
forward.
process of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the question for the audience that we are going to get into after exploring Match My Talent and looking at Match My Talent from Raghav and Ankit's perspective is the conversation about their processes, which is, of course, Match My Talent is not a part of their current process, right? So we're going to look at how do they currently operate for them to be where they are, and then we are going to look at what could be the possibilities for the future with all of these new things emerging and people being deep rooted in what they already are, like, just so good at. Yeah. So here we go. Give me a few minutes and let me just show you what we have here. So okay, by the time this shows up, let's see how are the artist promotions happening currently. Let's say on a Facebook, there are these groups, which for advertising, for casting, for different things, they're there. So people typically post here, like, just somebody would go and put in a comment looking for female models, shoot for bridal and jewelry. Some would give the payment plan there, and then location. And what happens is other people apply. So if somebody has said that how to apply, and somebody has said interested, now you need somebody from your team to sort of respond to all of this, right? And even before you respond, you need to know who are you responding to, so which means you have to go into their profiles. But ironically, this is social media, this is not professional media. So when you go to their profiles as well, there is going to be a lot of there seems to be some trouble with my internet. I'm sorry, are you able to hear me well?
Yes,
Can you
we
see
are.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, 1 second there. I thought there's some trouble. Give me a moment. Okay.
Raghav.
Yep.
Okay, while she's doing her thing,
Sure.
if somebody who is listening to us right now, and
Mhm.
you want them to collaborate with you, what would be that one thing that they should definitely collaborate with you for?
What should be the one thing they should collaborate with us for?
Yes, like they would benefit collaborating with you for.
Or any sort of live communication, be it a campaign, be it an event, be it a virtual event. If they need to kind of weave in a story, create a narrative, and put it out there, I mean, literally, you can have a client and not know what direction to be in, and we're happy to kind of help you out or offer our collaborative services to guide you or to mentor you into the right direction. Absolutely. So I think we're totally open to that, and we have a lot of friends across the industry we do collaborate with on at multiple levels. So also talking about collaboration, I think collaboration is a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people don't know how to go about it. A lot of people also don't understand that when you're collaborating, when two business owners or two visionaries are collaborating, you at some level have to be at the same wavelength. I think that is the key factor of collaboration. You have to have common goals, you have to have a common vision, and you have to be at the same wavelength as far as your deliverables are concerned, or the end goal that you kind of see. So I think that's extremely important. We do collaborate, but we're particular about whom we collaborate with. They should share the same values and ethics that we do
Absolutely.
as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked you because I'm sure you have collaborated with a lot of, as you also mentioned, a lot of people in over last 15, 18 years, and
Yeah.
it's very important to these points to be known for the new events, budding
Absolutely,
planners.
absolutely. But I find the newer people in the industry, the people who are coming into the industry currently over the last 3 to 5 years, are far more open to collaboration than probably the earlier lot. Let me put it that way, because I think collaboration was not such a buzzword or something which was so open in the same industry maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But I think today, the way things are going, the way the market is going, and the way people are in the areas of specialization, the new lot are far more open to collaborate, and they have no, I mean, they just don't flinch at all when it comes to that. So I think it's probably easier to convince somebody who's been in the industry for the last 2 or 3 years to be collaborative rather than somebody who's been around for the last 10, 15 years.
True, I agree. Absolutely. Back to you, Sonia.
Yeah, thank you. So there seems to be some trouble with my internet. So my colleague is going to bring up the demonstration,
Sure.
and I'll narrate it the way I thought about it. Anish, could you just screen share? And yeah, so I will just if you could just come to the homepage. I just need the homepage right now. Sorry, strangely. So by the time, yeah, okay, great. So this is the place where you come in when you type in matchmytalent.com. These are some of the initiatives that we work on. The Maitri project, which is our virtual concert, wherein the whole idea is to discover artists and do like a 1 hour show with them, so that all of you can find them easily, and not just as a profile but in a proper performance mode. The other thing that you see there, Foreground Forum, is exactly where we are. So this is our stage. This is what we have curated as an experience center, where we host events, both web conferences and the shows. Now, if you see there at the top white border, there's an icon called Browse. Anish, if you just click on that, the, this is like the easier thing in before going into the search engine, right? So just a typical list. Now if we go to the event artist here, because we're talking to the event manager, and we have always planned a category for you guys separately, that okay, if an event manager is looking for it, what are those people that they would look for? So let's say typically there would be anchors and MCs, DJs, musicians, bands, isn't it? So here what happens is, if you just click on event artist, you see a whole roll down. Now let's just see at Vinay Bhatt, who is a puppeteer. Okay. Now, you would have worked with the bigger puppeteers. You would have worked with the famous three puppeteers, because that would come to you from a recommendation. But when you come here, and if you're just scrolling through that, or if you were to type on the search engine as a puppeteer, you would discover somebody new who wouldn't have been in your access so far, like a Vinay Bhatt. So he's a puppeteer from Delhi, and we scroll down and we see some of his work, which is a lot of work on the street, with smaller children, younger children, and so this is the prominent section where his work shows up. So you see a whole lot of pictures, videos, as the artist would have put. We do a lot of work with the artist to make sure that they put up the work, because however much we like to see the work, and however much we see Instagram and its influences, but there are certain people who are on Instagram. I would really like to bring it up that not everybody's on Instagram, and not everybody's savvy with Instagram. But that does not mean that they're not doing commendable work, or they don't have that art that is to die for, right? So what happens there is, the artists are great at performing, but they're not very good at documentation, because they're performing, so they're not really the selfie people, right? So at that point, so somebody has to do it for them, and in most events they don't have the permission to take the best copy home, right? And it's not even a part of the structure for them. So it's only a few educated people who ask you guys to say, can I have my copy for that, right? Most of them don't, so they don't even have a reel like this. But that's what we work with them for a few years before a profile like this could come in with their work. Now, if you scroll down and we see that, his experience, he's an experienced puppeteer. The number of years he spent is there. He has written a lot about his experience here. Again, another value addition is that there are a lot of people who can't write. As artists, they're now very good at writing their bios. So some who could not, you will find an audio recording here. We work with them to make sure that they talk about themselves, and just imagine that they're actually sitting in front of a Raghav or an Ankit and talking about themselves. So you would get that thing. And then if you click on about, then you will see where are they from. Their locations would be listed, even their Anish, if you could just click on about on the left panel. Yeah. Okay, so he has mentioned the Delhi thing outside. So in about, if people have mentioned their native languages, the different kind of languages that they speak, yeah, I think he has. Yeah. So he has said languages known Hindi and English. Where he lives is New Delhi, and where is he from is Rajasthan. So in a lot of genres and skill, this really matters. Like in an event, depending on where your client is from, that language could be very important. That if they are from a particular part of the country, you can't train your crew to speak in that language, but your artist could have that touch, because artists could have that versatility, right? So if this person is fluent Hindi speaking, so even if you take them to Kerala, but your client is from Hindi speaking belt, that's where the artist from here makes like a very deeper impact speaking in that language. Yeah. Let's go back to the listing. And I will just take one more artist as an example and show you some more features through that. Anish, can we go back to the listing, please? Yeah, so we just look at event artist once again. And so anchors, MCs, DJs, puppeteers, magician. Yeah, let's just scroll down and let's just look at another talent per se. Let's move to the second page. And just pick up any artist that you use. Look at that. Sure, that's an anchor. Yeah. Yeah, so that's Deepthi Harwani, and that's her work. And that gives an information. She's from Bombay. She's 32 years. Now, what happened suddenly is that we were looking for an anchor, But when we come to her profile, we found out that she's also a voice artist, right? And there are voice samples. You see the first reel here is an audio sample here, and you see the other pictures. So you can also see and hear, not just see their pictures, but also hear their audio, and also make out that what they, how do they sound, what's the pronunciation like, what's the diction like. And now when we log in, one second, we can just log in, or I'll make it very quick. Once you log in as a client here, on the top, when you see these buttons of follow, message, recommend, endorse, a button emerges here which says call now. That's only available after a login, because everybody has to be verified, both on the client side and the artist side. So if you're a verified client with us, then you get an access to direct call with the client, so which means with the artist, so which means you press that button and a call instantly connects between your phone and the artist. So this whole, because we don't have the time to wait, so none of that wait happens. And if, of course, typically like a phone call, if the call gets missed, the logs are saved, people call you back, and you're back in communication. Apart from that, of course, all the mail and the message and all of the features are pretty much there, but I'm talking to you about the best and the fastest. Yeah. Now, if you can just go to the home page once again. And what did the other things for the event? DJs. Yeah. So let's just say DJ Mumbai. It could be. So the search here is built in a way that you could actually type in whatever are your non-negotiables, whatever is on your mind, and it is built to pick up the best. So we said DJ Mumbai, and at the top, it reflected DJ Mumbai city, and these will be the various DJs who are either from Mumbai, like native of Mumbai, or currently living in Mumbai. So Anish, can we just go down? Yeah, and just open up all the results, or just open up DJ Wiki. Let's just as a sample. Mm-hmm. So right at the homepage itself, you see these square images. You will see, often more than one work of theirs right here at the listing. So you don't really have to also go into each profile and keep coming back. Right now, okay, seems to have closed. So what happens is that the work, which is a video and an image and a sound, is right there at the listing page. So you can first get an impression about the kind of listing that it is, and then move forward. So now we are at DJ Wiki Chavda's profile, and that's the kind of work. The other thing that we encourage, you will see a lot of it is written as sample here. Why? Because like in a DJ, let's say everybody wants people to play Bollywood music, right? But a DJ is also often a musician himself and herself, right? And so that desire that get completely crushed. So what happens is the business problem with that is that the more Bollywood they keep doing on the profile, also it reflects as just Bollywood. So how do they even get to do something else that can actually add value to an event? But you will not make them do an event just to test them out. So they got to do something to show you what they are potentially capable of, right? So this is where we work with them, and we try and get them to create their content, to create their own styles. It might not, of course, cannot be the best production quality and stuff, but show it here for the event managers to look at and get a sense of that. Okay, what kind of a fusion you can do? Okay, what kind of classics you can bring in? What are these different things? Yeah, and now you see a new button here at the top which says request artist collaboration. So this is this is a feature which is open between artists, not clients and artists, but artist and artist. So an artist can collaborate with another artist, and if we click on there, a form appears wherein an artist gives a pitch to the other artist of what are they wanting to collaborate upon. So like a short video of what they've created, what is the kind of project that's all about. You're given all that information. It goes to DJ Wiki. He looks at it, analyzes whether he wants to be a part of the collaboration, and could connect with them directly. Yeah. Let's go back to the search again, and let's say how can we bring in specific filters there. So of course, all the filters, like typically on any website, the filters will be there, but we understand filters are annoying and then they're boring to keep going, so the instant thing would be to just type what's on your mind. So I'm just demonstrating that. Let's type in female DJ. So you could have a very specific thing about looking out for a gender-based art form and an artist. So yeah, female DJ. Let's see what comes. Yeah. So it says female DJs, and specifically what happens is, like, there is a reduction in the amount of data that you get, in the amount of information. So if you're looking for specifically for female DJ, why even look through the males, right? Let's look at DJ Mana, or anybody literally, but yeah, looks interesting on the profile. What's happening? Why is it crashing? So basically, again, we will go to DJ Mana's profile, and it will be various recordings of her shows, her performances, both samples and projects will be there. We scroll down, we see a lot of information about them, the years, wherever they are from, whatever they've filled in. And then we can follow them. So one thing is that you might not always be looking, you might not be like really just wanting to work with the artist there and then, but you liked something. Now that's another thing that we capture very beautifully, of what do you do when you like something. That's how it happens to us in a party, in a crowd, right? Like, we like something, and then what do we do? The next thing is we try and get a phone number, right? But here, what do we do? Because you're just looking at it now, how do you capture? So many ways. One is that you follow them, so they're going to be in your follow list, like the whole social media works. But then the other thing is that you could recommend them. So typically both of you are like the bosses in your organization, so you're not going to really make up each call yourself. Fair enough, right? But how do you delegate efficiently there and then? So you click on the button recommend, and the moment this pops up, it gives you an option to write in the email address or the phone number of a colleague that you want to recommend it to, and that person does not even need to be on Match My Talent. It could be anywhere else. Then the other thing is the shortlist there. So you could actually create a project here. You click on that shortlist and you create a project that, okay, so they want to be, these people are going to be a part of the Google event, so shortlist for Google, and that's where all your shortlists are going, because there will be different personas that could be aligning to different things. So you can organize it all there, and it's all always going to be there. So let's look at another search, maybe anchors, maybe male anchors. Let's just look for, I know female anchors, everybody looks for it, but let's see if they're in minority or in majority. And of course, like, I'm giving the most simplest answers here, but you could look for age, you could actually put in height, you can put in weight, you can put in the skin color, hair, anything that matters. So yeah, okay, great. So there are male anchors, and let's just quickly just scroll down and see. Yeah. So that's like male anchors, similar thing. You go into their profiles, look out and reach out to them directly. So similarly, you could look out for guitar players, classical musician, tabla players, violin, saxophonist, pianist, and then add different things to that. So that's on that. And then when we come to the home page, there are a few other features that are very helpful for the event artists. One is, of course, we also do event listing, and I'll tell you the different context here of what we do here. But let's look at artist collaboration first. Yeah. So like I showed up there, when you want to create events with collaborations, right? We've been talking about collaborations here in the conference here. So when you know of an artist and you want to pair up that artist with another artist, right? What do you do? So let's just type guitar player here. Let's say you have a very good vocalist that and out of your network, but you want to try out on the guitar artist, what is there. So you look at who could be up for a collaboration, and there you are. Let's just scroll down and just see. So guitar players, guitar artist. So various of them. Let's just go at the top, Anish. Thanks, thank you. Let's just go at it. Vasu Dikshit is there. He's a musician singer. So let's say you just you looked at the first person there. You can obviously listen to his work right there. But you go into his profile, and if that works for you, you send them a request for collaboration. So what happens is the communication becomes very distinct. When the artist gets a communication from artist, he knows that it's for a collaboration, and so then of course the energy is aligned to a collaboration. When they get a call from the client, then they know it is for the client, and the energies are aligned to that. Yeah. So that's about the collaboration. Let's move back to the homepage. And let's come to artist management, because that's also what a lot of artists, event managers do and should do, to manage the artist beautifully. But my understanding is that artists are managed in two ways: exclusively and non-exclusively. Yeah. So the way we've built it is that the artist manager need not ever be insecure of Match My Talent, thinking that if they have been working with the artist, but Match My Talent will take the business from them. No, that's not our business model. So how does that work is, let's click on Ruhan's profile here, Ruhan Alexander from Bandage. So Bandage is again an artist management and an events company, and Ruhan is a manager, an artist manager within their organization. So it's the profile of the artist manager, and he has listed two of the artists that he's currently working on. Praveen Nair, who's illusionist, and of course the band ROL, right? So what happens is he has listed the bands and the different genres of the performing arts within him. Now, on our search engine, whether somebody was looking for a band or ROL specifically, Praveen Nair specifically, or just illusionist or bands, but it will eventually lead to this artist, right? Now, let's just click on ROL's page, Anish, please. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, apart from the fact that it is going to be a profile like any other profile, the difference there is that on that profile, if I click on call now, the call is going to go to Ruhan, not to Match My Talent, not to the artist, So just the way the business is meant to be, it continues to be like that. Yeah, so I've not logged in there. Anish is not logged in there. But when the call now button comes, you would see that it is the feature. The call is connected between Rohan. Moving back to the home page, let's look at what we do within the event listing space. Events. Yeah. Right. So now, of course, with so many sorted, organized spaces for the events, we didn't need to list them. But the reason that we have this is because in most events, what is listed is the bigger artist, because that's where the event is being promoted by, right? Because we are particularly sensitive and working towards performing arts, we have created a method by which all artists who are a part of it can be added in that. How does that help is, suppose Sonia is one of the artists, right? So if somebody comes on a search engine and looks for Sonia, you will not just see Sonia's profile, but you will also see the events that she's participating in. Okay. And the vice versa. If you're looking for an event, you will also be able to get engaged with the artist and the artist manager and the event manager. So this is to me what, like if you just look at here in Shweta Sinha's post, right? And there is a small button there called artist, right? So when there are multiple artists, when we pop on that, the various multiple artists show up, and each of them can be connected to their profile, and the vice versa. So the idea being that we can close this, Anish. Thank you so much. So the idea being that the Match My Talent being this one cumulative community of people from art, culture, media, and entertainment, what is it that we can do to bind them? What we do is understand the different avatars and different personas, right? So a person is not just this one person 24/7, right? And we're trying to integrate the various personas and look at it that at different points of time when you want to communicate with them, whether as an artist, whether as an influencer, whether for listing an event, for selling your event tickets, for promoting your events, we have an audience of okay, Raghav should be back. So we have like a hi.
Hi, sorry.
So can you just move put your perfect, great. So the idea is to integrate each persona into their different avatars, and not to think that okay, at all points we are only hiring, but at some point we are just looking, we're just gazing, we're just sort of curating in our own heads. So there has to be a step for that. When we are doing that, what's the next step? We might need to delegate, we might need to save it in a particular way. I mean, everybody has their own ways of organizing it, so that gets done. Calling people directly, that is again, so we are not an agency, so we do not charge for every time you need to connect with an artist, and that is why there is a direct call facility. So as an event manager, you pick up one of the subscriptions of Match My Talent, which we've kept super reasonable, because just purely because we want to make sure that you use it. When you use it, then all the performing artists who are there, they're obviously going to get attention, and they're going to work on the profile. And this is where we are trend setting. This is something that we are saying, that it's not about the glorified, the good looking artist itself. It's a way to the future. So some of us got to collaborate and make sure that we keep the fuel going for till that time, by the time everybody else starts to go there. And for the event managers, really a shout out, because regional is growing big, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's no more just about the Delhi and the Bombays and the Bangalores and the Goas, right? Regional is big. So what do you do? Like you look for vendors in your regional space. It is same with the creative people, right? You need the person with the similar language, with a similar look. Of course, everywhere Shah Rukh Khan is not required and not expected and not afforded, right? There are local heroes, and it's up to them. So this is where you find them. Just what you have to do, put in your attributes, just type in the location that you're looking from, and there you go. And this is, as of now, I don't see this happening out of a Facebook, a Google, a LinkedIn, an Instagram.
There's no organized place where you have all this data. You kind of with the repository on one particular platform with the sort of detailing I think that Match My Talent has done. I don't personally believe there's any other similar platform currently. And the best part I think is you have clarified that you're here to collaborate with event managers and not kind of run your own shop. Because that is typically the way forward. So it's more of a B2B sort of a platform, which is going to be fairly helpful, I think, to most agencies. Why only budding? Even like if I've never gone in depth into look at smaller artists or regional artists or artists from these particular towns, and
because it's tough. Because
it is, and
yeah.
it's very difficult, like you said. They're not very professional in their approach, so I'm not going to expect them to mail me their profile. But you guys have worked on the back end and actually, put together all of their profiles and their photographs and their videos, and kind of made it a little, added some method to how they kind of present themselves. And I think it's a fantastic platform, even for the artists who have not reached out to mainstream event managers like that puppeteer you showed. He's probably got a couple of hotels or restaurants, locally where he may be kind of performing on a weekly basis. But I think it's very important for him to get the opportunity to reach out to agencies like us. I mean, why deny him that? And I think it's a great cause, as well as from a business perspective. It's also a great cause that you're giving these guys a window to present themselves, which they wouldn't have probably otherwise got. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. And just on a personal note, isn't it so that when we travel to different places, and like even when we're in hotels, and the hotel curates certain experiences for us, right, from the local artisan, but I mean, they're the same people, right? Because
Absolutely.
they have done an association with the hotel. They're the same people, and because they're the same, nothing against them. Of course, they got their arts to pursue and their breads to earn. But what happens is it becomes too much of a safe space for them, because they are going to be called in and out. So there is nothing new that they're creating. So if I am watching the Rajasthani artist in Ajmer, they're the same. They haven't evolved. They haven't done anything for me who have grown in 20 years and my taste has increased, right? So it is what this kind of a thing keeps doing is there is a healthy competition. You know that you got to do, otherwise somebody else could just come in. Like for both of you, what would it take to fly in this puppeteer from Delhi to an Ajmer? Nothing. And if that person brings a completely different spark to your event, wouldn't you do that?
Right.
I think it's also very important for an event curator or a producer to have a keen eye for this talent. To pick
Yeah.
out those hidden treasures. So, if,
Yes.
if if one of these guys turn out to be a hidden treasure, I think there's a lot you can do with them and kind of help them move forth, and also collaborate with them and curate what sort of content you'd like to, with even a sense of exclusivity to it, for that matter.
Yeah, yeah. We'll be opening up soon, probably in the 3 months' time. We'll be opening up our curated experience sections where
Excellent.
we're trying to work with some of the people that we have faith in curating, and they'll help. And this community will also grow because there isn't two people who can curate. Everybody curates very differently.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to bring that in as well.
I
Super.
want to say two things about this particular thing.
Yeah,
One that what Raghav mentioned, that it's very nice to see everything come under one platform. For example, about your listing your events. I may not know that artist, but it's something of an interest of topic to me. I can immediately go to the artist profile and see his or her samples and understand, okay, I mean, if the topic is interested, is the artist also interesting to me?
yeah,
And if
yeah,
that's interesting, I can immediately do that, which I cannot see it on any other listing platforms.
yeah.
Number two, let me bring this, when you pulled up Dipti's profile. So Dipti is one of the anchors we have used, I think, 5 years back, and
Oh
we have
wow.
worked with her. So now after that, we have been in touch, of course through social media and other things. But what I learned today, looking at her profile on Match My Talent, is that she's also a voiceover artist, which I did not know about. So it's
Wow.
something that you're keeping the people like us updated about their profiles, like.
Yeah, yeah.
So, if I work with Dipti and suppose I'm looking for a voiceover artist and I search that on Match My Talent and I see Dipti's name over there, I was like, definitely I'll go for her because I've worked with her and I know I can vouch for her
Yeah,
creativity.
yeah.
So that's something good
Also, what's because we knew it hasn't it's still to emerge, but you would have noticed there is a option for recommend there, and that's where I'm looking out for people like you. It's the same as the travel industry, which is completely transformed by the review system, right? There is a responsible reviewing that we now pursue, right? So we do look at hotels and we do look at the recommendations in the review, and it absolutely forms a layer of opinion in our mind. We can't deny from that. The whole of Airbnb, the whole of TripAdvisor is a reckoner to that, right? So what we have built here is a recommendation from the people who have worked with these artists, and they are to the degree of something like punctual. Um, like humble things, like those very very minor things, which are minor at the outset, but they're extremely they're extremely important. Like if you can't be sure that the artist is punctual, then of course it's going to be a problem working with them and even going further with them, right? So that's the thing, that when you Ankit, I'm going to hold you on to that. So like if you work with Deepthi, you have to go and drop a recommendation for her based
Right.
on whatever has been your experience. So what it will help is that when Raghav goes on Deepti's profile, right, he would A, see what you've written, and B, because he would have also known you, your recommendation will make a whole lot of difference to
Absolutely.
them, you know. And the whole event industry and this whole space is not as big as the travel industry, so I mean
So what I understand, that recommendation is not just as you mentioned, that recommending it to your colleagues or to your clients,
Yeah.
But it is also more like adding review or testimonials.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. But what we have not done is Raghav, we can't hear you. Your audio is not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have not done is a review or rating system at our end, because I personally feel this is not done, because what are we reviewing them on the basis? What is the basis? So like if I ask you like I mean, I get very appalled by this whole system when I see 5 stars and I see the other person has got all 4. I wonder what's the algorithm behind it. Like, how did that person is like 4? Because what is it? So similarly, that's why we don't have it on our platform, but it rather be from direct to direct. Like, people who have worked with them, give them your recommendation, right? And they also have a chance to counter it, by the way. So it's not something that, because things happen that somebody writes something for them and the rest of the things get affected. So there is a clear opportunity there that the artist could absolutely respond to that and clarify why, what, things of that.
Great. I mean, that's a very very good thing. I mean, one, I get updated about who we have worked with and who are the who are more talented people that we can reach out to.
Yeah.
Because what is also happens, a lot of time people think that you know, like I'll give you an example for Goa. I give you my own example. People think that will we get a good mehndi artist in Goa, or will
Hmm.
we get a good makeup artist in Goa? So
Hmm.
people usually think that do we have to fly them from Bombay or from Bangalore, and more than the actual cost of the artist, there's a cost of their flights and stay
Logistics.
and logistics and all of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So, but because I think through your platform, we can then look at, okay, we don't have to fly an artist all the way from one city to another. We can just
Yeah.
simply source locally.
Yeah.
And when you also source locally, it kind of, in a bigger picture, it enhances the whole uh, atmosphere of the particular location.
The
So
local ecosystem.
people support event industry, that okay, you are bringing us more business,
Yeah.
you are helping locals grow. So that is, if you look at the longer picture, it is much beneficial.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as more and more artists join in, and we create this whole expertise for them to make sure that their profiles are presentable, and they look a certain way for the clients, which is exactly what our work is. That's what we do day in and night. It's going to get more and more easier for all of you to look for the artist there. Okay, great. Thank you for your kind words and for your endorsement. uh, Back to both of you. This is Match My Talent. This is 2021, right? But you've been in the business for a really long time and extremely layered and extremely experiential, like we discussed. What is your process to do what you do so well?
Ankit, I'll let you take that to begin with.
So I think the few processes that we follow is one, we have always worked on a referral basis. We've never believed in marketing. I mean, online social media marketing, because we are into services which involves a lot of personal touch and personal attention to our clients, and also in the social events, private social and social events, that referral thing works a lot, and people
Yeah.
do believe you more when you have a good reference involved. Like you mentioned on your platform, like if I'm recommending, and if Raghav goes and sees that okay, Ankit has recommended this particular anchor, so Raghav knows that I can vouch for that particular anchor. So
Yeah.
similar thing, that something that we go along a lot. Number two, having trustworthy and long-term vendors. Having collaborations with those kind of people who will again not just vouch for you but stand for you, and be available for you. So
Wow.
most of the times what happens is, some vendors, they pick up 2 events, 3 events, and things like that, and they just they further outsource it, or they send their subordinates or things like that, which cannot deliver exactly the same way that the main vendor can.
Yeah.
So because I believe in keeping those relations with them, so that they give our events the priority, which kind of helps us to give much more than expected performance to the clients.
Hmm.
So these are things that we really look forward when we go and do anything or even if we diversify into our business, we always make sure these are the policies that we always follow.
Tough ones to manage, but wow, that you do that. What about you, Raghav?
So your question was, what are the things that work for us?
Yeah, what are your processes that you follow, like for
So I'm not
curating?
going to get into the technical side of things because then
Pura
there are a lot of
process.
processes that we actually follow. But
Yeah.
as a whole, I'll tell you what I can touch upon our strategy rather. As an agency, we focus more on retention rather than acquisition. That's always been something that we like to look at. I think knowing your clients, understanding their pulse, what how do they want to present themselves to their audience. I think that's what gets you some brownie points, and how well you understand your client and the relationship that you've had. Uh, we never, even if I've had an association with the client for 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10 years, we never take that for granted. We are always on our toes to come back with something more creative, to come back with some other form of storytelling, time and again. So it's not that, hey, this is my client for the last 5 years or 7 years, and this is bound to happen. No, we treat every pitch like our first. And that's what I tell my team as well, that please do not take anything for granted. And I definitely am involved in the pitching phase. I think we like to do a little bit of experimentation. And we've been lucky to have a lot of clients allow us that creative freedom. Um, Let me give you an example. We've done, for example, a 3-day rock fest in a corporate premises, a huge corporate premises where there are more than 10,000 people. But imagine doing a rock fest there with 10 or 12 bands over 3 days.
Oh, wow.
We've done theater for an IT client, where at an amphitheater we've had fantastic theater performances and people have
So
been
cool.
glued. Ideally,
Wow.
nobody would go beyond your tested and tried formulae. We've done a war of the DJs for several corporate events, or several corporate parties. So we like to kind of mix and match. Personally, I go a lot with the vibe, and if the client is open, look, ultimately, there's no formula to our business. You're not punching into a system and hitting enter, yeah?
Yeah.
So there's got to be a lot of heart, there's got to be a lot of soul in what you do. And if your client allows you the creative freedom, then there's nothing stopping us. So that's pretty much how we like to go about our business.
I really like what Raghav said. Add soul to your creativity, and definitely client would love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to be lucky to have clients to give you that creative freedom and not say, I want to do the tested and tried thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, that's why you've hired me, Otherwise, go to the next guy and he'll give you what you get on the streets. The idea is that allow me to have a little bit of fun as well. Of course, the risk is calculated risk. It's not on somebody's account that we're doing that. We know what we're
Yeah.
talking about, and we bring together cumulative years of experience. That's why it all adds up, right? The formula. When I say retention more than acquisition, it's because I probably know your audience as well as you do. So I know what to serve them and
What
what are they going
works?
to kind of consume. So absolutely.
But that's
So
Raghav. Sorry. Yeah, Ankit, you were saying something.
No,
no,
I
no.
said there's a little bit of science to it. No? It's not just a
Science to
random.
it.
There's not just a random thought I get. If I've worked with you and then I say, okay, I've done 1 year with you, I've done 2 years, I've done 3 years. We've ticked off this that we already tried. Okay, let's mix it up. Let's kind of do something a little different. So that's where it totally comes.
But what about the new people? Both of you were also new at some point, right?
Yes.
That's not when you could have claimed that, I'll give you what you want. That happens over a period of time. Go back to the time and tell us how did you stood the test of time that time for each of
So
you?
I feel I'm still new. You're never too. You're always new because, as I said, things are so ever evolving that now, for example, I'm new to virtual. We all are. So you're always new. So the whole idea is to treat every experience like it's your first and stay on your toes. Coming back to how it was, yeah, I think even at that point we were always a little experimental. And as I said, personally, I go a lot with my gut. And sometimes we go down to the extent of watching an artist perform live before we suggest it to an artist. So I'm not saying we've not had any faux pas. All of us have made mistakes. All of us have probably had that. After which, most artists that we recommend are artists that me or my team have personally watched in action.
Yeah.
I will not necessarily
That's
go
a
via
must.
video. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
the aura or the
Yeah.
vibe of an
Yeah.
artist is only in person. A YouTube video may not give me the same
Yeah.
experience.
It could be
You
just
know,
one
now
stepping stone. That's it.
absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
similarly, virtual has made it so difficult to select artists. It is very challenging for a lot of artists who are not used to this format.
Yeah.
There is no live audience to feed off. Any artist, any performer, and I'm saying that because I've been on stage myself. You feed
Yeah.
off
You
audience
feed off the
energy.
audience, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
not there. So you need to
Yeah.
be super confident about your art form that you're able to give it the same output that you would on say on a stage as you would on a virtual platform like this. So I think having a deep understanding about the performing arts has really personally helped me contribute to the curation.
Beautiful. What about you, Ankit?
I absolutely agree to one fact that of course all but one thing I can relate to and which I would tell to everybody is that we are always new. We are always new. It's just that
Always new.
yeah, we always knew we have we might evolve to have think in more wider angles, but we still new every time because there's a new challenge, uh, new innovation expected by the clients. So we one thing that I would always say that we are always new. And having said that, yes, it's very important to analyze your client, to understand your client, what is their need and what do they want. And when I was new, when I just newly started, when I did not have that many connections and vendors in place, what I would do is, I would ask client for some time, maybe like a couple of hours, maybe 24 hours or something to get back. And then I would do my research, I would do my calls, I would do my connections, I would see that do I have can I create that kind of a roadmap for the client,
Yeah.
and can I create that mood board for the client, can I do those things for the client, and I would get back to the client, okay, here it is that I have for you to offer to you. So that is very important, and that's of course to have a little creativity and the passion towards working and doing something for your client. That should have to be the basics of any event planner, that has to be there, or for
True.
any artist also. You
Everybody.
you want
Yeah.
to deliver something to your client, you want to make the client happy. So
Yeah.
when that is something which is important, and that is enough for you to become a good event planner or a good artist in life. So I would say when we started also, we were like started from there. We did not have a lot of connections, we did not have a lot of vendors in place, but as and when we started getting business, the only thing we required to get the business is willingness to make sure that we deliver something much better to the clients compared to what they expect out of us. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, last question. Hope maybe. Uh, to both of you, when you started off, did you get it all served on the platter? Did somebody come and give you your first nice loaded client and a nice loaded deck to work with? Like, I'm sure for you to be successful like this, it must have been like that, right? You must have had some godfather जिसने सब set करके दे दिया होगा, नहीं?
Not at all. Not at all. So I'll tell you my first instance. So I was working in the hotel and I used to do events with them. And so one of the clients, they said, they were happy with kind of way I was assisting them with the event in the hotel. So I was more as a general manager, not as an event manager there, but I
Hmm.
was from the hotel side of it. And year later, one of those clients colleague reached out to me saying that we want to do an event, but not in your hotel, but in another hotel, because there's some extra requirements that was there. So would you help us in curating the whole event for us?
They poached you.
Yeah. So not completely, but partially, yes. So that kind of and because again coming from hospitality background, we never learned about saying no. So they were
Yeah.
okay, fine. I'll help you with that whole thing, and the whole thing happened, and that's how I actually founded my love towards and passion towards events and creativity and things like that. And
Yeah.
then when I quit from my hospitality and of course, I had few bucks in my pocket, and then I was like, do I need to continue with the hospitality? Just before quitting hospitality, I was like, do I want to continue with hospitality, or should I go towards, towards my passion and do something in events and learn something and build my own business into events? And I was like, okay, I have 4 months of savings with me, and I can do that. So like 5 months of savings I had. So I was like, let me try for 4 months. If not, then 1 month I'll take to go back to hospitality and then continue there. And it was difficult to get that, get into that segment and get your first clients and all. But I made sure to not lose a single contact in my phone. I reached out to everyone saying that this is what I have starting, this is how I'm starting. One thing you need to be very sure that you don't need to be afraid of telling what you are doing. So
Beautiful.
if you're not afraid of that, if you reach out to your people, everybody has connections, everybody has families and friends, and
Sure.
friends families and families friends. So there are many people. Each person, I believe, can reach out to more than 1,000 people.
Isn't that so beautiful? It's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
here I am. I mean, this is what happened in early 2015, and I'm happy where
Beautiful.
I am. Yeah.
Lovely that you did that. How about you, Raghav?
Uh, is my audio clear?
Sort of feeble. It was better earlier, but we say some more.
I don't know. Is this fine?
Yes, it's fine. It's fine. Sure.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No.
There are no free lunches, that's for sure, and nobody's serving you anything on a platter. I think we all know that, and I think it's important to see certain opportunities to understand when you can get a foot in the door, and then go all out with your conviction and kind of make it happen. There's nobody waiting out there. There's no right time. There's no wrong time. Whenever you're ready is the time, is what I believe, and you can make it happen. They say the hustle is real, so I'm pretty much an accidental entrepreneur from what I understand. I still don't think I'm a good businessman. I'm more of a passionate event manager than a businessman, even to the date. And I think, you need to just kind of seize an opportunity when it's there and make the most of it. Absolutely.
Super, man. You both have like lifted up so much weight from my heart, and I'm sure from a lot of people's heart, because think about it. When you are on the go, you sort of know the game, or you know how to reinvent the game or park the game and create a new game and stuff like that. But for people who may be either beginning out or may just haven't gotten stuck for some reason, right? that that does not look like the reality. For somebody who's on the go, it does look क्या हो गया, क्यों रुके, क्या हो गया, इतना क्या चैलेंज, चलो बढ़ो, अपने फोन बुक में से लोगों को फोन करो करो। पर कभी कभी नहीं होता, किसी किसी से नहीं होता है, एंड होता।
First thing, Sonia, you never know the game, and you should never think you know the game.
Beautiful.
That's when you will always be curious to kind of explore certain sides to you, and you never walk in with that swag saying, "I know the game."
I know the stuff. Yeah.
You always need to be cautious the way you tread. You always need to remain humble, even after a lot of time that you may have spent, and the game is ever evolving, as I said. So you never know the game, and that's how I like to at least treat it and figure out.
That's so great to hear from somebody who, at your position, who a lot of people would look up to and say, he would have it all sorted. But if you are saying that it's never so, and it's always a work in progress, and for you, I totally believe you when you say that. Yeah. So then, of course, for somebody who is newer or has any sort of an obstacle, there's nothing to lose. You're already at your lowest.
Your challenges in business, in life, professionally, are always evolving, right? You have to ensure that you don't have the same problems you had yesterday. As long as you have a new set of problems,
it's good to.
That means you're evolving. That's the way I look at it.
Super good. And for us to not have the same problem, network. when you're stuck, network, reach out, shout out, help, no matter where in the game you are, but it is. And that brings us to the closure, but also connecting with the opening where we started about collaboration. Like, I mean, in the beautiful time that we're living, it's not just about the collaboration between artist to artist. Artists are humans, but really talking about just collaboration between humans. Anything that one wants to scale up, expand, stuck, not moving, want to move more. Either ways, just like network, meet, and like this. I mean, let's just create more occasions like these for people to come up and chat up for an hour or two and get to know. And for the one thing that I love digital for is this, that whatever we've spoken about today is going to stay. It's
Absolutely.
not like the three of us having coffee personally, and it would have still enriched our lives, but it would have gotten missed out for so many other. But that's the beauty. So let's share our conversation. Everybody who's a part of it, let's share. We never know what it does to whoever somewhere who's listening to it at some point. So let's be general. Let's share it out. Let's कंजूसी नहीं करते हैं. हमने सुन लिया, हो गया हमारा खत्म. Share, and then of course Raghav and Ankit are very available on their social media handles. If there's anything that they can support, in whichever way, I'm sure I can say that for themselves, for them, they would not think of a minute to withdraw from
Absolutely.
that request.
Always ready to help and mentor or
Yeah.
get some guidance myself for that matter. So absolutely.
And willing to collaborate always.
And willing to collaborate. Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much. We have gone slightly overboard, actually quite overboard the time, but that's one of the problem with engaging conversations. You can't just find a cut at the time. So thank you.
As long as we can contribute and we could not just ourselves, but everybody around us can benefit out of it.
Yeah.
There's no bad thing about it.
Yeah. So let's spread it. So
Yeah.
you were saying something, Raghav.
No, that's absolutely right. And thanks for this session, Sonia. Your team has done a great job. Bhakti and Anish and everyone in the back end as well.
There are a lot of other people in the background. Yeah.
Great job for the entire team at your end.
Thank you.
And look forward to connecting with everyone soon. And thanks, Ankit. This was really fun, and I think we should connect offline as well.
Yes.
And not fly in the paper planes.
No, we will connect for the simulation part of it on how to make people fly simulated virtually. Also, Sonia, I mean,
Yeah.
I really want to mention this, that it's a great thing that you're doing on matchmytalent.com. And if there's any way me and Raghav we can connect you with more artists, help you reach out with more artists, or you want us to do some, I saw that it was on a beta version. You want us to do some testings and give you some kind of feedbacks on that. We'd be happy to do that as well.
Oh, wow.
Because we really see this kind of. I will not talk it on a business perspective or anything, but we kind of see it as a great help to event companies and planners like us also, in terms of, as I mentioned, that we end up making some random calls to find those artists and or some talents in different locations, but through that particular platform, I'm sure it will be very helpful to us as well. So if there's any way
Thank
we
you.
can contribute, we'll be more than happy.
No, there are plenty of ways, and of course we will keep in touch. And I mean, we all Match My Talent entirely would totally need both of you support and all event managers. So yeah, let's just keep connecting and let's just keep forming the human chain longer and longer and longer, and it will be more beautiful. I'll connect with both of you separately on this as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Prathamesh. It was really resourceful. Thank you. Great. So yeah, let's keep on increasing our resources. And with that, please share this conversation with everybody that you may want to. Follow our pages, all of us independently, our company pages. It's a good way to not do anything and stay tuned with what we are doing. So just follow and everything and just keep getting the information. On the Foreground Forum, we keep bringing out these web conferences with people who have a skin in the game, and we keep looking for them and we keep talking to them. So stay tuned, and we will come back with more conversations Thank you, Raghav. Thank you, Ankit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.